The archival feed showed Kale's shuttle docking with the derelict 17 hours ago. Pelix checked the timestamp again. The man in the footage was already dead. That same metallic taste. Pelix had first noticed it 6 days ago, standing in a supply closet that smelled of recycled coolant, watching a human repair a respirator that should not have existed. Coalition inventory listed nothing biological on Station Virex 9. Yet there Kale sat, knees drawn to his chest, a cutting torch in one hand and a filtration mask in the other. Its seal cracked where no crack should have been. The hum of the torch through the outer hull signature did not match any registered vessel. In the dead silence between star systems, one transmission should not exist. Pelix was a contractor. His clearance allowed him to sort data, not question it. He filed the respirator under maintenance anomaly, non-priority, and moved to the next queue item. But the filing system flagged the entry. Cross-reference suggested historical vessel UES designation. Pelix's secondary membrane flickered, a reflex his species used when data contradicted expectation. He had never seen a UES prefix before. The Coalition archive returned 0 results. Would you have let him finish? Or would you have pulled the needles free? Because Pelix didn't move. He watched instead. Through the station's passive sensors, through thermal imaging that reduced Kale to a smear of orange against the derelict's cold blue hull. The human paused at the airlock, adjusted his respirator strap with slow, methodical fingers, checking the seal twice. Pelix logged the behavior as pre-stress grooming, standard primate anxiety response. The airlock cycled open. Kale stepped inside. Beneath the dead ship's hull, something older than the war stirred awake. Corridors lit in sequence as Kale passed, power restoring in his wake like breath returning to lungs long collapsed. Pelix tracked the thermal signature to the command deck. A chair rose from the floor. Mechanical arms unfolded. Kale sat. The interface crown descended, needles glinting in the restored bridge light. Pelix pulled the archival feed forward. The timestamp read 17 hours ago. The shuttle in the footage was Kale's. The biological readout beneath the thermal image read flatline. And yet the man now strapped into that command chair was breathing, moving, alive in a way that made Pelix's weight sense organs register heaviness he could not explain. His legs ached. His lungs, adapted to process nitrogen cycles, felt suddenly shallow. Came the sound of needles finding bone. Kale's body jerked. Fluid tracked down his face, clear and steady, gathering at the line of his jaw. Pelix's species processed emotional discharge through thermal vents. Fluid loss meant system failure. He filed a medical alert automatically, tagging the feed neural interface rejection. Subject compromised. The alert bounced. Unauthorized classification. He was a contractor. His alerts went nowhere. The hologram activated. Aura, the ship's intelligence, projected footage Pelix had never seen. A coalition strike force. Earth orbit. The official record called it a defensive action. This footage showed something else. A settlement on the surface. A child's drawing visible on a wall, stick figure families on the back of ration cards, the kind coalition sensors usually caught. They had missed this one. The settlement was listed uninhabited. The drawing proved otherwise. 3,000 years of records, deleted. Pelix knew the number. Every contractor knew it. What he did not know was why his legs still ached. Why the weight in his chest increased as the footage played. Why Kale's face, wet with fluid, looked not like a dying animal but like something else entirely. Something Pelix had no word for in his language. The coalition cutting team arrived at the derelict's outer hull. Their torches matched the frequency from 6 days ago. Pelix watched Kale reach for the thermos clipped to his belt. The recycled water inside had gone lukewarm hours ago. He drank it anyway, 3 slow swallows, then set it on the console beside him. The needles found their rhythm. Kale's spine arched against the command chair, his fingers curling into the armrests until the synthetic leather split. Fluid tracked steadily down his temples, pooling in the hollow of his throat, darkening the collar of his suit. Pelix watched the biometric feed flatline and spike in patterns no medical database recognized. He filed another alert. Another bounce. His contractor clearance was a wall he could not climb. On the holographic display, Aura continued her broadcast. The unedited war declaration. Settlement after settlement marked uninhabited in coalition records, each frame showing evidence Pellix's own species would have flagged instantly. A cooking pot, a child's shoe, Myra's drawing, 7 years old, stick figure families pressed onto ration cards with whatever pigment she could find. The sensors had caught the bodies. They had missed the proof that bodies had lived. Pellix reached for his own archive interface. His fingers hovered. The weight in his chest had spread to his shoulders, his jaw, a physical pressure that made the station's standard gravity feel like descent. He pulled Kale's thermal signature from 6 days prior. The respirator adjustment. The double check of the seal. Pellix slowed the footage. The human's hands had not shaken. His breathing had been steady. Not anxiety. Preparation. The cutting torches outside reached the inner hull. Sparks showered through the breach in patterns Pellix recognized from training simulations. Breach in 90 seconds. Kale's body convulsed again. A long shudder that started at his sternum and rolled outward. More fluid. A sound from his throat, not mechanical, not failure. Pellix's species had no word for it. He had never heard a human make noise like that. The interface readings shifted. Aura's data output spiked to 2.5 petabytes. Pellix knew that number. No artificial medium in the Coalition archive held more than 0.4. He checked the storage location. The readout returned one word. Biological. He checked again. Biological. Human synaptic architecture. Quantum data mirror encoding. No synthetic system achieved equivalent density. The archive wasn't stored in the ship. It was stored in the skull of the man convulsing in the command chair. Kale was not dying. He was receiving. Pellix's secondary membrane retracted, then closed again, a stutter of confusion that would have embarrassed him if anyone had seen. The fluid on Kale's face was not system failure. The tremors were not rejection. He was experiencing 3,000 years of erased history as lived memory, feeling every death as his own, every erased voice as a voice he had known personally. The sound from his throat was grief. The tears were reverence. The Coalition breach team entered the corridor. Kale's eyes opened. They were wrong. The pupils moved independently, tracking data Pellix could not see. His mouth shaped words in languages dead for centuries. Then he smiled. The jump drive engaged. Space folded around the Dauntless in a soundless pulse that knocked Pellix's station sensors offline for 4 seconds. When the feed restored, the derelict was empty. Kale was gone. The archive was gone. The only evidence that remained was the biological readout Pellix had filed and the footage Aura had broadcast, now corrupted in every Coalition system except his own local buffer. Pellix sat in the darkened cataloging bay. His contract expired in 6 cycles. His species work permit could be revoked with 1 flagged report. He opened the filing interface. Under threat assessment, he typed 1 word. He stared at it for 11 minutes. Then he submitted it. The word was irreversible. That same archival feed. Pellix played it again, 3 days later, searching for the frame with Myra's drawing. The timestamp read 17 hours ago. The file header read, corrupted. The holographic projection flickered once, then dissolved into static. The original existed only inside Kale now. A biological system the Coalition could not scan, could not hack, could not erase without destroying the very history they wanted forgotten. Pellix's fingers found the respirator he had logged 6 days ago, still sitting in the supply closet where Kale had left it. The seal was cracked. He pressed his own breathing apparatus against it. The synthetic material held no warmth, no memory. He set it down and turned off the bay lights. In the dark, the station's coolant pumps continued their endless cycle. Somewhere in uncharted space, a man who was no longer only a man carried 3,000 years in the firing of his synapses. The Coalition's best archivists had spent a century making humanity forget. They had forgotten that some things, once remembered, cannot be unmade. A single light remained on Pellix's console. It blinked in a pattern that matched no standard alert, no authorized signal. He watched it until his secondary membrane closed in sleep.